being here again this morning. Such a pleasure, such an opportunity to have all of you here. Uh, I'd like to start by apologizing for the delay. We're supposed to start at 11:30. We had some technical issues starting up, but we make sure that we get all of you out of here on time. We really value your time, and we value your presence here. Welcome again to our Career Day. This is the second edition of our Career Day. The first one was in 2019 before COVID. And talking of COVID, if you're still not fully vaccinated, we encourage you to have your mask on for your own safety and the safety of your loved ones. If you're fully vaccinated, it's okay. And if you need a mask, we have some masks in the back, our ushers. We can help you get those ones. There are two things I would like to do before we get started. My name is Mark Allen. You can call me Mark, and it's spelled with a C. I want you to remember that my name is Mark, and it's spelled with a C. And because my name is important as yours is, I'll ask our ushers, we go around. You just do me a favor. We give you one of these papers, and I'll tell you what to do with it. Our guest speaker is already here. Just waiting a little song before we get started. Evie, could you please help me with all these papers to pass them around? Hold on to it until we give you final instructions. You can have some of those. Just grab one of them. You should have a pen on the table, and if you don't have a pen, just raise your hand and we get you a pen. I'm running out of papers here. So that's colorful. Anyone who doesn't have a paper and doesn't have a pen? Anyone who doesn't have a paper and does not have a pen? All right, so the first thing we're going to do today, hold your paper, like I am. Let me see that. Some people already know what to do. They were here last time. Chris, don't be cheating. That's not nice. You want to fold it. Wait up, wait up, wait up. Let's go back. Which way do we want to go? We fold it once. That's good. If you mess it up, I'll give you another paper. Just give me $5 in return. All right? Can everybody show me their paper? This way. And we fold it again. So right now, I believe you should have something standing. This is Advertis. He just showed up next to me. Now, what I want you to do, write your name in big characters, your first name, on one side of that paper. Just one side. Just write your name. Your name, no, just your first name. Your first name will be enough. Yeah, I can already tell a lot of people screw this up. And that's okay. That's great. Now, Stanley's up here. Michelle is right next to me. Chantel is down here. Guy is right here. Franco Gist is right here. And that's my dad, by the way. Joel, nice meeting you. Now, some people have some handwriting like mine here. Now, you're going to help You say? Yeah, I just want to make sure. Michelle. Oh, yeah, not Michelle. Kia. Kia King. Do you say Kia King or just Kia? Do go just Kia? Yeah, my name is Mark Allen, and I know a lot of people. It's a French name, and a lot of people can say Mark Allen. So, yeah, I give them a pass when they say Mark, but they get extra credit when they say Mark Allen, even because a teacher. All right. So the reason why I want y'all to write your name is because I want to call you by your name, and when you have questions, we want to make sure that we refer to you by your name, and we try as much as we can to tell you everything that you need to know before. All right. Now, our guest speakers are already here. We take a little 5 minute break. The second thing I want you to do, just introduce yourself to the people around your table. If you do not know their names, make sure that they know your name and make sure that you know their names. Of course, if they're your parents, then we can talk about that later. And if you don't know your parents' name, that's not good. You know, for a very long time, I believe my dad's name was Dad. And I grew up thinking that his name was really Dad. And when somebody else was called, would call his dad like Dad, I was like, no, that's my dad's name. You know, so make sure you know your parents' name. All right, so I'll take a 5 minute break away from you, maybe to say hi around the table, to make sure that our guest speakers are ready, and then we move on from there. Thank you. Nice meeting you, Eric. No, you can use that seat. Yes, that's what I thought. And if you just showed up, we are going to give you a paper. There's a paper. Just make sure you fold it this way. Write your name on one hand of it. Yeah, you are so welcome. So I was just having a little discussion with the people backstage. They're almost ready. We are almost starting. Now, there are two things that I would like you to know. There's a presentation by Dr. Mckey after lunch. And after that, again, we would like you to stay for, if you don't have a professional headshot, if you don't have any, your profile on LinkedIn looks like your profile on Facebook, and if it doesn't look good, we have someone in the back. We're partnering today with MTV Photography. They'll be helping us with those pictures. So they're free of charge. We provide to you a link where we put everybody's picture. And if it's going to be a picture out there, and if you don't like it, we give you the contact number where you can reach out to them. But we make sure that it's hard for us to keep up with everybody's number, everybody's email, and all that. So we make sure that the link is out there. It's available for everybody, and you can go out there to download your own picture. All right? Is that a fair deal? But the catch is that you got to stay till the end. That's the only catch I have for you. Otherwise, we're going to be interrupted while we're doing everything here. All right? All right, so they'll be here shortly. Please be patient with us as we're finishing up these few things. Thank you again for being here. And I hope you already made sure that you know the names of the people around your table, right? Because I'm going to ask that in a few minutes here. Are we all ready to get started now? I didn't hear anything back. Are we ready to get started? Awesome. Thanking you one more time for being here this morning. It's our career day. We try to hold it at least once every year. This year we have a few special guests. Dr. Mckey is a renowned genius. And if you know anything that genius means, she's very intelligent. And please, let's join our hands as she's coming up on stage. She'll be our first guest tonight. Tonight, wow. Is that lady? She's an amazing woman. She'll be giving us a presentation right after lunch. So I really, really, really encourage you to stay with us here. She knows a lot about the brain. She's going to talk a lot about the brain. And I know you will find yourself in everything that she'll be saying. And our second guest today is a man that mentors me, has been mentoring me for the last 4 years. An amazing gentleman that I really like. Would you please help me welcome Tyson Bonty? And our third guest today, I was about to say tonight again, but I'm not doing that. He's also another gentleman that I really enjoy the company of, a man that has always inspired me. A great man, and his book is coming up next year. And there's something that you need to know toward the end, but you can only know it if you stick to the end. So I encourage you to stay with me. Please help me welcome Chris Moreland. Now, this is what we're going to do. I know you have a lot of questions. And, we're still in COVID era. It's going to be a little difficult for me to give you my microphone, sanitize it, give it to someone else. So what we're going to do, if you can do me a favor, you should have some note called 3x5 on the table. And if you have some of those, just write your questions. Whatever question comes up to you, just write it down. At some point, I'll come to you, collect those questions. And if you still feel comfortable to ask the questions by yourself, we let you ask your questions. But we get someone, I can read the questions to our panelists, and they can tell us a little bit about themselves and everything that you would like to know. The Career Day is also a great opportunity for us to network, to know the people that you with, to spend some time making those connections, creating those connections. I tell you, they always pay off, regardless of what you do. Gentlemen, Miss, it's great to have you all here.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. Y'all can grab your microphone.
Okay.
You remember the deal. What's your thing?
Just give it a second.
It works. Good.
It sure does. All right, I'll tell you a little bit about them. I'll try to read their biographies to them. I'll start with Dr. Mckey. You're still doing okay with your microphone, right?
I am.
That's
I
awesome.
think it's just a little loud because I'm a very loud person, so I don't need a lot of help.
And we don't get that very often. So we
Okay.
try to make sure that with our technical team that we make it a little softer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Just give a second. So Dr. O Johnson Mckey is a dynamic, motivational speaker known throughout the country for promoting excellence. She's the founder of the Guaranteed 4.0 method, which teaches successful brain-based learning strategies that guarantees straight A average. Now, if you haven't read the book, I'll tell you this. I read the book, and the front page says it's 4.0 or $100 back. Now, when I read the book, I wanted to challenge Dr. Mckey. I said, you know what? I'm getting the 100. And I read it my last semester. My last 2 semesters, I had 8 A's and 1 D. Well, the D stood for distinction. But, that's just how great that book is. Donna O received a bachelor's in chemical engineering from the University of Texas at Austin in 1987. During college, she was involved in numerous extracurricular activities, which include student government, UT dance team, Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society, American Institute of Chemical Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, and the National Society of Black Engineers, NASB. She also served as the national chairperson of NASB and is a founding national chairperson of NASB Professionals. Upon graduation, Donna O Johnson joined Amoco Corporation as a process design engineer. She also held positions of project engineer manager, internal consultant, and loan executive to NASB. After serving as executive director of the city of Chicago, Chicago, she launched an entrepreneur career as a founder and president of Guarantee 4.0 Learning System. With a PhD in cognitive science and over 25 years of practical experience, Dr. Donna O continues to enhance the life of students with Guarantee 4.0 plan. Dr. O is a native Texan.
Hey.
She's a native Texan, man. I'm a native Congo. Donna O is a native Texan, now residing in the greater Dallas area with her husband Milton, where they are actively involved in ministry and numerous civic activities. Can we give a round of applause?
All right. Thank you.
Chris Moreland, the man you have to know as the diversity crew person. I mean, everything in his DNA is about diversity. It's about how we bring people, minorities, all of them together. We work in the same company, although I never had a chance to meet him, and I'll blame Mr. Tyson for that. I asked him twice, and he said he was going to do it and never did it. So I'll blame him for that. I'll throw him under the bus. So Chris most recently served as the Chief Diversity Officer of a major healthcare organization. In this role, he created the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, chaired a committee of healthcare chief diversity officers, was called upon to take keynote as an equity and inclusion expert, and advised the CEO on all corporate diversity and inclusion matters. Prior to creating the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, Chris was the SVP, Senior VP of Business Operations, where he created organization's first commercial team, which subsequently exceeded plan for the next 5 years, consecutive 5 years. Chris has held multiple senior executive roles over the past 20 plus years with reputable companies such as General Electric Corporation, Johnson & Johnson, Pepsi, Mobil, Expedia, and Microsoft. Chris spends so much of his free time volunteering with nonprofit organizations such as Integrity Mentors. He also consults with the local community-based hospital, Parkland Center for Clinical Innovation, PCCI, and is an active board member of both the International Leadership of Texas Charter Schools and CorMed INC. Chris received a bachelor's degree of science degree in engineering from the United States Air Force Academy.
Wow.
I did not know that either.
I didn't either.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate you. A master's in business administration for the Central Michigan University, and a certificate of inclusion and diversity from Cornell University. Can we give it up for Chris? Last but not least, for my personal history is my former boss, and he didn't fire me, he hired me. I'm so grateful to this man because he gave me a lifetime opportunity, one that has opened too many doors for me. And I'm always thankful to have him here. I know if you come to this church, you've probably heard me talk about him a lot. Tyson is an experienced executive in technology that is recognized for his leadership, mentorship, coaching, and known in the forward entrepreneurship community. He has bachelor's in biology from Georgia State University and an MBA in Kansas State University. He has been featured on podcasts sharing his story of passion to help others be the best they are called to be, driven by seeing others succeed, takes pride in helping others, especially people of color. As an entrepreneur, Tyson has launched a business, Just and Jess, LLC, that is a message that you can achieve your dream, and the mission that is give visibility to dreams through apparel. It is in early stages, but he loves using this platform to help others. He's originally from California. Not a lot of people are from California. Woo! One person out there, you see? She's from California too. I hear it's really crowded there. People can't be born there anymore. Like before you're born, they kick you out. So you can be from somewhere else. and is married and has 6 children. Now that's a lot.
That's,
And we're so thankful to have them here. I'm getting to fix your microphone, Dr. Mckey,
thank you.
in just a minute. But as we get started, today, we're talking about college and entrepreneurship. The importance of college education, but also entrepreneurship. As you've heard, all of them are in business. They have their own businesses. But the minimum degree that I heard here was a master's degree. I just want to know, how did it get started? We start with Dr. Mckey first, and then, gentlemen, you have to fight for a microphone. Dr. Mckey, go ahead.
All right, how did I get started? And if you don't mind, I'm going to stand. I talk faster when I stand, so then I can sit down quicker and be appreciated. How about that? Okay. And if you guys don't mind, I'm not sure if you did this before we came up. Could we just open in prayer?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Lord God. Father, we come boldly to your throne of grace to obtain mercy, to find grace to help in this time of need. We thank you for all of those that are gathered here. I pray that as we speak on this stage, that we would decrease, that you might increase, that every word that comes forth would be led of your Spirit, and that it would be grace to the hearers. And I pray that we would all commit to do something with the words that we receive from you today. In Jesus' name, amen?
Man, thank you for
All
that.
right. I always want a little help. So how did I get started? As he mentioned, my undergrad is in chemical engineering. And I promise you guys, it's either scratching the...
Yes, scratching the mask.
Okay. I'm going to keep the mask on. I'm one of the primary caregivers for my mother. And even though I'm vaccinated and so is she, this Delta variant is no joke. So I want to keep her safe and all of you. Yes. All right. You know what? We can't turn the mic off, but you got to go down. Hold on.
I'll make sure I do that for you.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. I think it's just hitting them.
Is that better?
Okay. Well, if it's not bothering you guys, let's just keep it moving. Okay. So, as you mentioned, my undergrad is in chemical engineering. I am number 4 in a family of 4 children. My father died when I was 19 months old. We were 5, 4, 2, and 1 at the time. My mother made a pledge to not remarry until we were all in college. And she did that. As a matter of fact, I call her Junior Jesus, because when I read, that's real. When I read John 15 and it says, greater has no man than he laid down his life for a friend. When I read that, I thought they were talking about my mother. Then I realized they were talking about Jesus, okay? So the greatest love I experienced is that of seeing her sacrifice. So when I got to college, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't a financial burden. So I was on scholarship, needed to keep the scholarship. So literally, I prayed and asked God how to study. He gave me what is now known as the Guaranteed 4.0 Learning System. In the beginning, it was just the 3 things that God told me to do to study as a freshman. Got all A's, made the dean's list my first semester in college, and I was really, really happy about that. But then I figured out that other people were struggling too. So I shared it informally. Eventually, I presented a workshop at a NSBE, that's National Society of Black Engineers conference. And on a whim, I just said, hey, I dare you to try these 3 things. If you do it and you don't make straight A's, I'll give you $100. So that's where the program got started. And we've never had to pay the 100, by the way. All right.
And if you don't believe that, I'll challenge you to read the book and see if you're going to get 100 from her. Dr. Mckey, what challenges did you face as a college student while attending college?
The challenges, normal challenges, you have classes. Some are a little more challenging than others, and it just really depends on what you like. You just have professors that maybe present things in a different way than you would like, but I have found that you can face any of those challenges and overcome, because what education does for you, it just creates access to different things. So access to certain opportunities, access to certain people. You know, I have an opportunity today to meet these two gentlemen, and without education, I wouldn't be sitting here before you, and I wouldn't have a chance to meet them. So I'm honored.
And in spite of those challenges, because we see a lot of youngsters today, minorities, that would probably stop with college as soon as they start facing a professor who doesn't like them or something that they don't like, they give up. What kept you going?
Oh, I'm going to say my mother. My second semester, I had to take engineering, the second part of engineering physics. And they didn't have physics at my high school, so I had to first take the pre-engineering physics. But the second part of engineering physics, it was a class of 500. Now, I'm the kid in high school. I cried if I didn't make 100. Hello? So I'm accustomed to seeing my name on the board when they put the scores up. They have the high score, the low score, and the average. So this first exam, second part of engineering physics, I saw my score on the board, but it was the low score. The low score in the class of 500. I cried, I went to the dorm, I packed my stuff, called my mother, told her I needed to come home, and she did the little engine that could. I think I can, I think I can. And she talked me off the ledge. And one of the things that she said and demonstrated to me my entire life is that love is unconditional. God always has your back. And Jesus came that we might have life and that more abundant. And even though the devil comes to kill, steal, destroy, we have the power of prayer, and we have the power of the Holy Spirit within us. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. So anyway, she did the speech. I decided to stay. I went to see my professor, which is one of the keys in Guaranteed 4.0. And I went to her office almost every day. And in the end, she gave me, and I know it was the grace of God, a B in the class.
That's amazing. Right. I know we hear more of that. Gentlemen, want to go first?
That's a hard act to follow, so give a round of applause. That's an incredible story about persistence and,
Thank you.
just hanging in there. My college career was a bit different in that I thought it was a mistake when I got accepted because I wasn't that studious of a student. I just wasn't. At 17 years old, I had more play in my system than I had student in my system. And so I got into college, and I thought every day they're going to come by and say, we made a mistake, you shouldn't be here. But so I just kept my head down, and I kept going to class and figure out, just hang out as long as I could. Here's the thing about college, which I think is also important about life as far as business and everything else goes, is that how many people have driven a car? Like, just know how to drive a car, have driven a car, drive a car, been in a car, right? Like, hopefully most of us have been in a car at some level. One of the things that you'll notice is that as you're in a car, either operating it or sitting as a passenger in the car, what you'll notice is that there are certain people who drive their car, and when they're navigating where to go, when they're trying to figure out how to go from point A to point B, their eyes will be focused on either the car in front of them or the hood. Like, seriously, it's a very short range focus. And a lot of times they'll be surprised when another car like merges and tries to get in front of them, or something else is going on in the road, because their focus is on the hood or on the car right in front of them. Now, if you're in the car and that's happening, you feel like, well, Like, that's just normal, isn't it? That's the way I'm supposed to look. It's actually the most dangerous thing you can do, because your focus is simply on the thing that is in front of you right now. The same exact thing happens when you're in business or when you're in college. A lot of times your focus is on that thing that's right in front of you. It could be a person who called you outside of your name. It could be an exam that you took and you didn't get that great of a grade on it. It could be the fact that you had to stay in on Friday night and study because there was an exam, versus being able to go out and hang out with your friends, which is what most 17, 18-year-old kids want to do. But what you notice is that you get so tied into what's right in front of you that it either frustrates you or it makes you anxious or depressed, and then that pulls back all of your energy and motivation to do something greater. It wasn't until about my junior year in college that I figured out that I had the wrong focus. I was thinking about the next exam, the next course. How do I get through this semester? Versus looking at, what am I really trying to do longer term? And if you don't have the ability to look beyond your current situation and have something outside of yourself that you're actually focusing on, it's going to drain you. It's just like in business and in life, when you get so absorbed by that last mistake, when you get so absorbed by the things that you want to happen in your career or in your life that are not happening, they will drain you. And that makes you do and react in a certain way that pulls you down even further. What you have to do is have something that's bigger than yourself, something that is out on the horizon that you are actually focused against, which keeps you focused on the right things, and it gets you past and through those distractions of failure and shortcomings and everything else. At some point in life, when I was in college, I started realizing I have been poor my entire life. When I say poor, I just mean, like, you know, from my upbringings, like, we didn't have running cars, and we never went on vacations, and, you know, I did have a mother and a father, and they were both in the same home, but, you know, we like, there were little things that we just didn't have. And so I considered myself, you know, a little bit below mid-income. You know, we were, you know, poor. But my thought was, I want to do something bigger. I want to do something better. I want my parents to at least one day be proud of me. And my goal was, you know, I want to become a multimillionaire. And for people in my neighborhood that came from my family, like, there were no examples of that. None. So I decided I'm just going to work on it. Like, I'm going to keep hard at working on it every single day. And I'm going to figure out how to do the right work that's going to put me in a position so money is never an option. Money is never an issue anymore. I don't have to go into a supermarket and look at every price tag. I don't have to go shopping for clothing and worry about, is it on sale? I don't want to have to go to the car lot and the first thing they say is, let me tell you about financing this car. I want to be able to walk in and get what I want when I want, because I never had the ability to do that. I don't want to wear socks with holes in them anymore. I don't want to wear shoes that were hand-me-downs. I don't want to do the things that I think are second class. I want to be able to do things that are bigger and better and give me an experience in life that I can pass on to my kids that, you know, I never had. Once I had that vision cemented in my head, then nothing could stop me. All the mistakes were just mistakes for the day. All the setbacks were just setbacks that were so temporary, because they didn't stop me from doing what I ultimately wanted to do. Now, as I sit here today, I'll just say, life is pretty darn good, okay? But it wasn't because I didn't make mistakes. I still make mistakes today. It wasn't because I didn't have setbacks. I still have setbacks today. It wasn't because somebody didn't tell me you're not good enough or you can't do it. It still happens every day. But I have a bigger vision of what I want to do and where I want to go that keeps pushing me through the temporary setbacks, because there will always be temporary setbacks, and some people are defined by those setbacks and other people are refined by those setbacks. And when I say refined, what I mean is they become better because of the obstacles they had to get through to get to where they wanted to go. And I know it sounds nice, but until you have that bigger view, that bigger vision of life, until you're able to actually see that, look, you can't do nothing for anybody else until you've done something for yourself, until that becomes a reality, you are always plagued with those temporary setbacks. Oh, I wonder if I'm gonna have enough money. Oh, I wonder if I'm gonna be smart enough. Or I wonder if I'm gonna be good enough. Or I wonder, until you have a vision, a view, and a focus that goes way beyond the cart in front of you, until you start looking at the horizon and realize, where should I be in this horizon? And make that cemented in your head every day so it drives you. Until you do that, you will always be plagued with the setbacks. You will always be plagued with the little tiny distractions. The people who don't accept you for who you are will always make you doubt your self-worth. Until you start living bigger, until you start realizing how valuable you truly are, and stop accepting the crap that other people tell you about yourself, you're going to always be looking at that car in front of you going, I wonder when they're about to stop. I wonder what's going on here. Oh, look at there, it's got a hood ornament. And you're stuck in the here and now and present moment. And until that vision goes beyond that for yourself, that's the thing, for me at least, not only with college but also with business, that kept me focused on, what do I need to do? Where do I need to be? How do I need to position myself such that I can become a lot bigger than my past, and I can become the example for my friends and my kids and my associates of what success actually looks like. Because it's in each one of us, but it's too often that we get plagued with the current situation and we let that define us versus allowing it to refine us.
Amen.
So.
Can we give it up for Chris? I mean, that was a lot. That was definitely a whole lot that I was a little bit puzzled between taking notes or asking you questions. But I'll try to do both. And if you have a question, please make sure that you write it down. I'll be stopping by your tables to pick up your questions. I'm just curious if I should ask this question before or after. But let me do it now. Mr. Chris, you mentioned a lot about discovering your why. That is giving you motivation. How do you go about discovering the why? Because I know myself and a lot of kids of our generation, you know, as corporate America, we live paycheck to paycheck, so we live for the next morning. How do you pause to discover why you're here?
Yeah, that's the question that plagues every human being for their entire life, and 90% of us never figure it out. 90% of us never figure out why we were born. We just live, and we're surviving, we're not thriving. We just live. Once you understand your why, life becomes different. It does. We don't have time to go into this, so I'm going to give you a really nice, topical explanation. Your why is basically your purpose for being birthed on this earth. And there are so many distractions that pull you away from that, like, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to be successful enough? Am I going to be good enough? Are people going to accept me? Am I going to have to work too hard? I'm really tired today. Maybe I should give up. Understanding and living in your why, all of those distractions are gone, because the beauty of understanding your why is that each one of us has a gift, a value that we were born with. It's God-given. Like, nobody else has that same gift that you do. But there are so many distractions that pull you away from that, like, can I meet the rent this month? Can I afford my car note? Can I, am I going to have food tomorrow, and everything else? And so it's distracting. And the question about how do you find your why, this is how you find it. There are things that you do every day that people will tell you, you are like incredible at this, that, or the other, whatever it is, and you take it for granted. Like, isn't everybody good at that? Like, doesn't everybody do that? No, they don't. It's you. The reason why it comes so natural to you, whatever that thing is because it's part of your why. It's the thing that you have that is so much a part of you. It is such a gift that you just do it naturally. And until someone tells you what that is, you will always skip over it because it comes natural to you, but it is valuable. And once you understand it and see it and believe it and start doing it more often, what you'll realize is not only is it valuable to you, it's valuable to so many other people. How do I know when I am doing something that is part of my why? That's your question, I know. This is how it happens. There's things that will happen in your life that as you're doing those things, as you're engaged in those activities, three things happen. The first thing that happens is it's effortless. Like you feel like it's effortless. There's no extra amount of energy that you have to put into it. So notice when you're doing something and it just feels like, oh my God, that was so easy. It just came so natural. That's the first thing. Second thing, notice when you're in these activities, what happens to time. Think about time. Time is something that either moves really, really quickly, or sometimes it moves really, really slowly, or sometimes you become unconscious of it. Like if you ever remember that first person who you had a probably high school crush on, like that person who you just like, man, they are the bomb. Like I can't wait to talk to this person. And when you talk to them, you had no concept of how long you were on the phone or in their presence. Time stood still. Why is that important? Because when you're in that activity, that is part of your why, because you are in love with it. And being in love with it means that the time loses its relevancy relative to you, right? Relative to you. The third piece of you understanding your why is when you start realizing that when you are doing that activity or involved in an activity or whatever it is, you're doing it so much better than everyone else who is trying to do the exact same thing. Some people's why is around, writing or drawing or speaking. I knew the first time I had a microphone in my hand, I was like, why is everybody so nervous about doing this? This is like, this comes pretty natural, right? And other people were like, no, it doesn't. I get butterflies and I'm afraid and people are watching me and all this other stuff. And I knew that was part of my why. Why? Because it was effortless. Why? Because time stopped. Why? Because I could do it all day and I never felt tired, right? You understanding your why means that you're in a part of your being that no one else can replicate. It's not like you're following, it's like you are leading, because everyone else is watching and looking at you with open, wide eyes like, how the heck did you just do that? That's how you know you are in your why. Take note and start nurturing that in your life, because as you become able to do that why, whatever it is for you, not only will the world reward you financially and everything else, but your life becomes better. You stop having a job and having to work because you're doing something that comes so natural to you, and it actually becomes some of the most valuable things that you can provide for other people. So that's part of the why.
That's
Amen.
amazing. That's
Amen.
really, really amazing. I love that. And if you're not taking notes, I'll just like to remind you the three things you say to discover your why. Effortless. You don't see the time going by. And the last one, you do better than others. Someone was following. I got my notes and talking about the whys. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Just and Jess before we get into your story? It's good.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to follow what Chris is saying. I mean, that's a big deal. Everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a story, and everybody's got their own path. Me, I hated school. I didn't like school at all. That just wasn't my thing. But I like things. I like stuff. You know what I mean? do a little exercise. Just close our eyes for about 5 seconds and think about something that you either want or something you aspire to be. Okay. Now don't tell anybody. Keep it to yourself. Now, think of something bigger. Now my question to you is, why didn't you think of that the first time? So what it is we're kind of limiting ourselves. Put any restrictions on that. You have the option to dream about and think about anything you want to be, anything you want to have, anything you want to do. But sometimes we put limit on ourselves, on what our ability is, what our capabilities are, what we aspire to be. For me, I got out of high school and I was just around people that, the way you were brought up, you just work. We didn't have people around me that were educated, you just work. So that was just my thing. But then at some point in my life, you hit a point where you get paid every 2 weeks, but from one paycheck to the next, you keep running out of money. And somebody next to you on the highway is driving a car that's maybe about $50,000 more than yours. And I can barely put gas in mine. So then I had to figure out something else, and it was hard for me to figure out that on my own. So I ended up getting married. This woman was educated, a lot more educated than I was, and kind of inspired me to be somebody better than what I was actually doing at that time. And ended up going to school. I know I think on there it talks about being in technology. That was not the path. I was going down the path of being a physician, wanting to be a doctor. But somehow I got introduced and wanted to get into technology and had a degree in biology. Who in the world's going to hire anybody to do technology, and you got a degree in science? So I couldn't get a job. Couldn't find a job. Everywhere I went, no. Turn me away, turn me away, turn me away. Ended up meeting some people that had a startup. So I ended up going over there, working for free. Said, let me work for free and give me some experience so I can use you as a reference. And that was my breaking point. From then on, everything else was just me pushing myself to just do more. But I guess the point is, everybody has their own path. And sometimes it's traditional, sometimes it's not. But what I realize from an education standpoint is you hear those stories of somebody not going to school and creating this magical thing and making lots and tons of money. But how many stories of that really exist? I mean, the reality is, in today's time, education is valued. And you need that in order to get your foot in the door and to even be presented with that opportunity. I got to know Chris, and one of the things that he has taught me is, you don't limit yourself. Do not limit yourself, and don't underestimate. Some of us, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed or the smartest guy on the block, but nobody knows my true path. When you see and you get a degree, nobody knows what I had to do to get there. All they see is a degree. When I go to the job interview, they just see that I got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. They don't see all this stuff underneath. Because in the end, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. Once you have it, it's yours. And that's what I try to push on people is don't be ashamed that, hey, I can't go directly into a 4-year college. I got to start at a 2-year. But in the end, when you get to 4-year, is anybody asking you how you got there? No, because it doesn't matter. You want me to talk about the business stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
can you talk to us about that?
All right. So
Before you
ahead.
go there, you say you're on your path to become a physician, and you go all the way, you get your bachelor's in biology. Why do you stop? Why do you decide, okay, I don't think this is for me, and I'm fixing to go another direction?
When you mean
changing your career?
Changing a career?
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened was when I was in college, I got a job working in like a computer lab. So I started hanging out with a bunch of computer science majors. And they started exposing me to all this stuff, and it was like fun. I was like, wow, this is fun. I really like it. So I think I was probably like in my third year. And to change degrees at that time, it didn't make much sense. Was number one. The other was I couldn't afford it. I didn't have the money to go back and start over and hit the reset button and pay all those tuition fees because it was coming out of my own pocket and student loans and everything else. So it was kind of one of those things where I'll just finish because in the end it was about completing something. You know, you get to a certain point in your life and you never have anything that you've completed. And for me, that was a big deal. It was a huge accomplishment to say that I've completed something in my life. And I think that's what employers see when they look at that. They don't see like, you know, you've got it in this, you've got it in that. You know, when I look at it as someone that's interviewing, I see that someone was able to complete something in their life. That's how I look at it when somebody's coming to me and interviewing me. I'm interviewing them for a job. That's the message it takes, and I think it builds a lot more confidence as an individual when you go up and you finish. But to go in and get halfway and walk away and then go and work at CVS and work at this job, work at that job. I mean, those jobs they're everywhere. But I think to really succeed and get some of the things you want and need, I think education is like, I kind of view it as just an extension of high school. Right? You just go to high school and you just have to finish. At least, you know, that's what I had to do. I had to finish. I didn't want to. I had to. But you go and you finish. But college is just consider that an extension of high school. It's just another 4 or 5 years. And the reality, you think about it, you're what is it, 17, 18? You're going in. Add another 4 years on that, and then you're out. I'm in technology. I see jobs out there where they're hiring people right out of college, making, you know, they're paying them $60,000, $70,000 a year. And 5 years into that career, those guys are making $150,000, $160,000, $180,000 a year just by that degree. And if you finish right out of high school, you're so far ahead of the game. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
You know,
yeah, education is a big deal.
you know, this is where I jump in a little bit. Dr. Mckey, I call Donna O. You know, and you can charm in after this, but I get the question all the time. I am African American, or I'm from Africa. I have an accent, and corporate America is so very white. Why do I need to even go to college as a black man and add in that I have an accent? Why do I need a college degree? Why I can just go do a trade or maybe start my own business? Don't know.
I would actually be very interested in both of you addressing this, particularly you, if you can do it concisely. But what I want to start with and say is what a college degree gives you. I mentioned the word access before. It gets you in the door. And without it, you're competing with other people who have something that you don't have, and they're in the door in front of you, which is one of the reasons, if you say it's predominantly white, they have pieces of paper that say, I know how to learn. Because when you join a company, it's not just the book knowledge that you gained that you apply in the situation. They actually train you on everything they want you to know. They just need to know that you know how to learn. That's the bottom line. And all this degree says, it doesn't say that you're getting in heaven or, you know, any of that. It just says, I know how to learn. You have access. All right? And the piece that I would like you to expound on in your diversity role. Right now in corporate America, it's good to be a person of color. It's very good right now. And accents are welcomed. They really, really are. So I'm passing the baton.
That's a good pass and a good baton. I'll do it as concisely as possible. I look at college as almost like you telling people that I kept at it until I finished it. So completing a college degree is like finishing a race. A lot of people start the race, not a lot of people end up being able to have the consistency and persistence to finish it. So having a college degree is like saying, I finished the race. There are so many opportunities for people in life to do so many different things, but a lot of times the thing that stops them is that they quit halfway or after a couple disruptions or as a couple mistakes or as a couple failures. There is not a single successful person that I've ever met in life who does not have a string of failures, period. Failures, horrible failures. I failed out of college. It's a true story. I almost failed out of high school. I got fired from employers several times. I got told no several times. I was like, my credit was in the toilet. I couldn't even own a car if I wanted to. Failure, 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 failure. Guess what? I'm a multi-millionaire. Guess what? I don't ask for price tags. Guess what? I shop wherever I want to. Guess what? There's not a thread of clothes I can't afford now. Guess what? None of my kids have a college bill. Guess what? I'm a failure until I'm not, period.
Hello.
Wow.
That's really good. That's really good. So let's circle back on, because I know the reason why I'm asking you to talk about your business, you've done your research, and you know a lot about people of color, the limitations that we're facing. Tell us a little bit about that, about your business, and then I want you to expand a little some more. Why is it that some are born inspired, and some grow up, they never find that inspiration?
I don't know if they never find it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of maturity, speak for myself. But for me, what drove this whole idea of this business was this concept of visualization, and I've experienced it, and I think we all do. We don't really recognize it, but it was a moment in time, and I was working for a corporation, and I was a manager, had people, and I had a boss that was above me. He was a vice president, and having a conversation with him, and then it just an instant image of myself sitting flip side, basically me sitting in his seat and him sitting in my seat, and visualizing myself in that role. And it was clear as day that I knew that I could do his job, and had no doubt in my mind. No doubt. Now, of course, at the time, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to get there, how that's going to happen. But that whole concept of visualization. I was able to see myself somewhere that I wasn't, but somewhere that I inspired to be, somewhere I was wanted to be and wanted to go. And over time, I would just do things as far as my job and connecting with people. I think networking is a big deal. So always was meeting people, always was connecting people, because I believe you surround yourself with people you aspire to be.
Hello.
Some of that stuff rubs off on you, whether it's investments, whether it's a CEO, somebody running a company, whatever that is, you surround yourself with that, and that stuff, it naturally rubs off. If you start picking up things that they do that you weren't aware of, or they start exposing you to opportunities and things you would not have had that opportunity if you weren't surrounding yourself with that. But back to the concept of this business idea that I've created was basically more about seeing yourself in a role or in something that you aspire to be, and that it looks like you, it reflects you, and it creates that aspiration of dreams. And that's kind of the whole concept of it, really, is more wrapped around visualization. Because there's studies about that where they show where you believe you can actually visualize it, and it comes to fruition. It just happens. I'm not.
Could I add something?
Yeah,
Please.
Because the way your brain works, you have all these chemicals in your brain. And when you believe that you can do something, it releases chemicals to your brain that help you do it. If you believe that you can't do something, it releases chemicals to your brain that help you not do it. So you are absolutely correct, sir.
Yeah, I think it. You may not be in that state, but when you see yourself in that future, whatever that is, I think subconsciously you start doing things that just get you closer to that.
Absolutely.
I truly believe that. I've experienced that, and I think that's kind of what drives that whole concept of this whole business.
And the scriptural support for that is where there's no vision, the people perish. So when you see the purpose that God has placed in you, which is what I'm going to talk about this afternoon, although this is very good, I'm not even sure I need to talk. You are absolutely right. God places in you who you are. There's a seed that's planted of who you are, and He wants it to grow.
Yeah, I mean, what is it that you aspire to be? What is it?
What is it right now?
Yeah, right now.
An entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. So now you just got to visualize that. You already see yourself there. I used to always make the joke when I was working at the corporation that I was like a manager, and I was always seeing myself as a vice president. I would always tell myself I'm already a vice president. I'm waiting for them to catch up to me. That was my whole mindset. I'm already there.
Amen.
Grace, you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to go back to, I love the Tyson's comment around visualization, because that is so true. It's also that same initial analogy that I was trying to make with the automobile, as far as looking beyond the hood of the car, looking far off into the distance, being able to visualize. Here's a great story. There was so if you know anything about me, you know I'm a car guy. I love cars ever since I was a kid. Hot Wheels, and then as an adult now, I just want something that ends in I. Lamborghini, Maserati, Bugatti. You tell, and if it ends in an I want it, right? So the first really nice car that I ever wanted was a Porsche, right? Porsche, and I couldn't afford it. I wanted a 2-seater Porsche that was way out of my price range. So what did I do? I cleaned out my garage and I created a space. What did I do? I went to the showroom and I sat in it and I smelled the car. I did. What did I do? I decided, I want to make sure that when I get that car, everything else about it is ready to go. So I read up on it. I knew all the manuals. I knew the power of the car. I knew, so many things about the car. I had a garage space that was ready. I had everything about that car was like, I'm ready for it, but I didn't have the financial means to afford it. But I just kept visualizing it. And then, of course, out of the blue, there is things started happening in my life which allowed me to be able to afford this Porsche. And of course, I've had 3. And I'm telling you, it all started with the visualization of this is what I want. So when Tyson talks about the visual thing, and I know you sit back and you go, yeah, okay, whatever. No, it's true. It's true. You will bring about what you think about. You will bring about what you think about. And when you think about things that are so below who you are and why you're here and everything else, you will also bring those things about. And so that's why it's so important for you to think beyond your current situation. Think beyond what people have told you about yourself and visualize where you really want to be, what you really want to do. Because as you visualize it, things will begin to fall in place in your life. Connections and people and opportunities and everything else will present themselves in ways that you never thought possible. And you'll be like, wait a minute, how is all this happening? It's because you set in place a vision, and now the universe is actually opening up to allow for that to actually manifest itself and happen. So I just wanted to reiterate what Tyson is saying, because it is the truth. It is real. It does happen, period.
Now the other thing is, it doesn't come along, it just doesn't happen. You know, the caveat to that is also surrounding yourself. You know, I remember hanging around people that was doing nothing. Nothing, literally. We're sitting around doing nothing, trying to think of nothing to do. You go to work, you come home, and you do nothing. But then I realized you get to a certain point, you get tired, it gets old. It gets old, you get tired. And you realize, you know what? That's enough. I gotta do something else. I can't keep hanging around and doing the same things, expecting something different to happen. So I stopped hanging around those people. I started hanging around people that were doing stuff, even though I wasn't. Maybe not where they are, but hanging around them brought that inspiration to do something else. So you got to surround yourself with people that are doing things, and associate with people that are aspiring to places you want to be. It just, something about that energy, or they may just say one thing and it just clicks, and all of a sudden you're instead of going left, you're going right. You know.
Absolutely.
But positive, you know, whether it's success, whether it's stuff, whatever, entrepreneur, whatever those things are. You surround yourself, you want to be an entrepreneur, hang out with entrepreneurs. You know what I did? I went out to Fort Worth. There's a program out there, and there's nothing but entrepreneurs. They meet every week. Doesn't cost you a dime. You just show up, and all they do is present and talk about their ideas, and that's it. The next thing you know, I'm connected to a completely different network, and they expose you to all these different things that I had no idea. If I never showed up, I never would have exposure to that. That there's so many different resources out there for anybody that wants to start a business.
And we're definitely going to hear a lot more about that. Can we give them a round of applause as they're going on?
Thank you. As we're going down.
Now, as much as, you leave this place, you'll be very inspired. I can tell you that. But inspiration without action will lead you to nothing. It's just a good feeling you get when you get off the shower that you get when you get off here. So I want you to do something. I know some of you have dreams. You have aspirations. There are things that you want to become or be. Just take a sheet of paper right in front of you. Write 5 of the things that you want to accomplish. 5 things. If you don't do step 1, you'll never be able to do step 2. All right? So just write 5 things that you want to accomplish, whether it's retiring at 40 or you want, advertising is already out of that. You can't retire at 40 anymore. But some of you still have that chance. And while you're doing that, I would like to ask another question. Dr. Mckey, while we're thinking about this, you've studied the brain. You know how the brain works, and you see how things work within the brain. Is there anything in any man's brain that suggests that I am not college fit? Because I've met a lot of youngsters telling me, listen, I hear what you're saying, and I like the way you're trying to inspire me, but college is not just my thing. My brain can't do college. Is there something in the brain that suggests that?
That question is so important. I want to wait until people finish the exercise that you just gave them. Because one of the things I know about the brain is that it can't do 2 things at one time.
That's great. I love that.
So while we wait till the people are done, I have another question. So some of the people in this room are from Africa, and they grew up speaking another language. They came here, they're now 35, 40 years old. And what if I say college is but can I skip college and just start my own business and be successful? Is there another way outside education? That's my question.
I'm going to continue to pause until I see people not writing, and then I'm going to put the two questions together.
And also, I'd like to remind, if you have questions, please write them down on your paper, and pretty soon here we give you an opportunity to ask your questions. Thank you.
Food will be here while people writing. Food will be here probably in 15, 20 minutes. So we'll break for lunch.
Okay. All right. Would you raise your hand if you're still writing? Anybody still writing? Okay, I'll wait.
And Dr. Mckey, I know that your brain can retain a lot of information. I'm in the back here. While we still have those two questions pending, you just mentioned that you know one thing about the brain is that it cannot do two things at the same time. But society today is pushing guys to multitasking. How does that affect the brain?
Okay. All right, everybody, raise your right hand so I know you're with me. Okay. All right, let's play a little game. You ready? You're going to you have something to write with and something to write on. And I'm going to ask you to assist me, sir.
Okay.
I just need you to time them on your phone. Okay? All right, so I want everybody to write these words. Multitasking. Wait. You have to wait until he starts timing you. You're going to write multitasking is a myth. Repeat it.
Multitasking is a myth.
Okay, and then I want you to write the numbers 1 through 20. Repeat 1 through 20.
1 through 20.
Okay, and then I want you to tap your knee 20 times. Got it? Now he's going to time you. So first you're going to write what?
Multitasking is a myth.
Then you're going to write the numbers,
1 through 20.
and then you're going to,
Tap your knees 20 times.
all right, all with your dominant hand, okay? So on your mark, get set, go. And just raise your hand when you're done. Raise your hand when you're done. Okay, good. Now, we're going to, yes, you can stop. I was looking. So now you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do it in a different order. All right? So everybody, I need eyes on this one. You're going to write the letter M, the number 1, and then tap your knee. You're going to write U2, tap your knee. So you're basically going to do letter, number, tap. Letter, number, tap. And you're writing out multitasking is a myth, right? Which there are 20 letters, so it will correspond. There's a dash between the multi and the tasking, okay? Got it? So repeat after me. Letter, number, tap.
Letter, number, tap.
Again.
Letter, numbers, tap.
All right. So on your mark, he's going to time you again, okay? And let's get started. Go.
no quitting, no cheating.
Raise your hand when you're done. Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. Now, you just did 2 exercises, but the equivalent on your paper is the same. You wrote the words, multitasking is a myth, you wrote the numbers 1 through 20, and you tapped your knee 20 times. Which one took longer? Why did the second one take longer? Because you were trying to what is traditionally called multitasking. It's really, in the brain, there's an area that's called Brodmann's area where they've been able to prove that your brain cannot do more than one thing at a time. And when you try to multitask, what you're really doing is task switching. You're switching from one task completely to another. Now, anything that is low, mundane, repetitive, like is simple for you, automatic, if you will. You can task switch fairly quickly. For example, you can fold clothes and watch television, true? But what happens when something intense occurs on the show? What are you doing? You staring at the TV, just holding the towel, right? So, you, Mrs. Turner, right? Okay, so Mrs. Turner was the first one to finish. First time you did it in about 21 seconds. Yes. And the second time, it took you a little over a minute. So it took 3 times longer. Why? Because anything that requires medium or higher order thinking, your brain can't even switch very easily. You have to almost completely stop one thing and start another. So when you try to multitask, it takes you, on average, 3 times longer to complete each individual task. So it is a waste of your time. So repeat after me. Multitasking is a myth. So don't do it. All right? So the key to learning and utilizing what God has given you is simply to learn the way the brain naturally prefers to process information. Okay? All right, another quick exercise. In your brain, in order for you to form a thought, now this is getting to the 2 questions about should I be in school and can anyone go to school? So in your brain, for you to form a thought, neurons have to connect. So let's pretend that this is a neuron. Everybody raise a hand. Okay, all right? So these little things are called dendrites, and this is the axon in the neuron. Okay, hold it up, come on. All right, now, for you to form a thought, neurons have to connect. So they connect like this. Everybody do that. Okay, now, you guys are gonna help me. Good. All right, now, what I need everybody to do is to make sure you're holding your right arm up. The right arm is up, okay, so we're gonna connect that way. So now what really happens is it's a neural network. A whole bunch of neurons are gonna connect, all right? So I want everybody to just lay your, oh, I know who you are. Okay, everybody just lay your right arm and almost touch, don't touch, but almost touch the other person's elbow. You see that? That's a neural network, okay? Disconnect. All right, now go the other way and put the left arm up. We just made a different network. All right, disconnect. Go back to the right. Connect. Disconnect to the left. Connect. Disconnect. Hey. Connect. Disconnect. All right, now, if you can do that exercise, you can go to college. Okay? All right? And I am absolutely certain of it. And this is why I'm certain. Because everyone's brain processes one chunk of information at a time. If you simply know that one thing, that you break information into a small quantity that your brain likes to process it in, you can learn anything. You can do anything. Like there are all these theories you could study, you could get PhDs in cognitive science, and it all comes down to this. It's all about connection. When you are able to connect and create neural networks faster, have more connections, you have a faster, what is termed a smarter brain. I don't even like the word smart, because we have historically felt like some people are smart and some people are not. That's one of the biggest lies that the devil has ever told. And this is straight up the truth, okay? The bottom line is, it doesn't matter about background or size of the brain. It's all about connection. What we do in Guarantee 4.0, I teach you how to make those connections quickly so that you process information faster, retain it longer, and recall it with less effort. When we do corporate consulting and we're in C-suites like these guys, where these guys sit, we train them on how to do the same things that I'm going to share a couple of things with you this afternoon. They pay us a whole lot of money because I can give the average exec 2 to 3 hours back in their day just by operating more efficiently and effectively based on how the brain naturally prefers to process information.
Does age play a part?
No. People think as you get older that you are more forgetful. Have you heard that? Okay. Not true. Okay, let me just tell you what happens. As you get older, you actually have more neural networks that have been formed. So you just have more, so when you reach for something, you have to reach through all this stuff that's been formed to bring it back. So we have I'll call her a young lady. She graduated with her bachelor's in education. She was 65 years old, A+ average, all right? So it doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter where you're coming from, where you want to go, doesn't matter if you did well in high school. I'm gonna, and you know what, I told you to be concise, didn't I? Shame on me. Let me tip back here. Maybe I'll talk less back here. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you one story very quickly. Young man named Miguel. Miguel did not do well in high school. He graduated in the bottom third of his high school class, and then he just started working some jobs right out of high school, and then he got a quote-unquote good job. And then one day, he realized that this is as good as it's gonna get, and this is not enough. So he decided to go to community college. He failed his first exam, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna quit. School was never my thing. And this guy in his class said, don't quit. The 4.0 lady, when you forget my name, I'll be the 4.0 lady, all right? She taught us how to learn. So this guy told him what to do. He did it. When I met him, I was speaking at a conference, and he came over to my lunch table. He said, I'm one of your biggest success stories, and you don't even know who I am. I said, well, tell me who you are. So after the guy taught him the plan, he made an A on his next exam. He graduated from community college with a 4.0 GPA. Because of that, he got a full scholarship to Drexel, which is a private school. So hello, a little something, something. He did a double major in engineering and computer science, all right? Now then he had a problem, because when he graduated, he had a 4.0. The problem was he got invited. Remember I said access? He got invited to interview with, I'll call it a Fortune 10 company. And when I say invited, they invite 1,000 students from all over the world. You have to have a 3.9 or above to be invited. They select 100. If you are selected, they guarantee you a mentor in the company at a vice president level or above. So the CEO could be your mentor, hello? And they offered him the job. But the problem was, he also, because he had a 4.0, he was a Fulbright finalist. He had a full ride to grad school. So should he take the money? Oh, I forgot to tell you. Starting at 6 figures. Y'all understand 6 figures? Hello?
Sure do.
Okay. Yes. So now this is out of undergraduate education. He already told you average coming out 50, 60. And this was about 15 years ago. Hello? So he's coming out. Should he take the money or should he take the full ride to grad school? What do you say? Money? Grad school. I told him that the God I serve is really good. And I believe, and I have always believed this because my mother told me, and she, Junior Jesus, come on. She told me I could have it all. She said, you can have anything as long as you work for it. I said, yes, ma'am. All right? So I told him to negotiate. So he could defer the scholarship for a year. He negotiated with the company. They agreed if you come and work for a year, go through the rotational program, we will then transfer you to the London office. You will be on sabbatical, which means he got his full salary while he went to grad school at Oxford for free. Hello? Okay, somebody say education and access. So the bottom line is, he had been told all his life, you can't go to college, you don't have what it takes, right? Are they saying that to him now? No. And his mother loves me because she got a new house out of the deal. Come on. All right? So, I'm sorry, sir. I got carried away.
Can we give her a round of applause?
Okay.
And I know there's a lot more to learn. There's a lot more to do. I'd just like to take this opportunity to take some questions from the audience. If anybody has a question, just raise your hand where you are. And we start with this table here. Thank you, Pastor Verse. Did that help?
We'll eat here, and just before she gave her question, let me just explain. At the bottom of the hour, at 1:30, you'll grab your food from the table, drinks and whatever. You come back on the table. We'll continue to ask questions as we eat, just for the sake of time. And then right after you eat, Dr. Mackey will then present.
I have two simple, easy questions. Is this session being recorded?
Yes, we are recording it. We are recording.
We are live, just so you know, sorry they tell you we are live online, so people might be watching. Sorry, I didn't tell you, Gracie.
Okay, cool. Okay, and the book, Guarantee 4.0, is that here today? Is that available?
Yes and no.
Uh-oh,
The yes is I have one in here.
okay.
B, it's a prize at the end for someone.
Oh,
It could be you.
all right.
Have to see
But
it.
C, everyone can have access to it because anyone who is interested in going to school, we will provide complimentary online courses and ebooks.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And just one more thing that we try to do here at our church with this career day. Pastor Veris and I, he's an assistant pastor here. We're talking about that the other day, is that we want to make sure for those of you who want to go to college in the future, maybe not today, maybe not this year, but in the future, we want to start providing scholarships.
Hello.
Not a full ride yet. We get there, but at least something to buy your books. You know, they're getting expensive. I have a friend who's a psychology major. She's in the last semester, and she just paid $800 for books. That's not even tuition. So this is really where we're trying to go. And if you like to encourage us, please reach out after this and let us talk a little something about it. And we also offer mentorship here. You know, if you're a youngster, you're trying to go to college, it's possible. And I know there's a lot of stories here. You've heard their stories. I personally went to school full-time while working full-time, and I graduated with a degree in software engineering, so it's possible. Another question from anybody else? We have one question in the back. Avers, we have one in the back. Let's start with, okay, let's start with her and then we come back.
about. Can I take off my mask? I'm feeling
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
I just want to testify based on what he said about opening up a space for the Porsche that he was talking about. When he spoke, I just felt in my heart, God said, give your testimony. So basically, I'm from South Africa. I just arrived yesterday.
Love South
yesterday, right? And my whole journey has just been a journey of faith. Last year, I was in 2020, right? Sorry, my mind is everywhere. 2021. In 2019, I graduated from high school there in South Africa. But like as a young student, you're just led on by your friends. And like how he said, if you surround yourself with the wrong people, you're going to be just like them. And I never believed this. My mom always told me, fear God and surround yourself with those who are going in the right direction. And I didn't believe her. So I graduated with they call it GPA. There it's just in percentages. A GPA of 2.2. It was very low. And then I applied for university because I wanted to do medicine. And I felt it in my heart. Someone talked about there's just something that you have within you, right? So I graduated, I finished graduating, and then I applied for medicine. And when I applied for medicine, let me tell you, when I was 13, the first thing I said to myself is that I want to go to the United States of America, I want to study medicine, and I want to change the world. My friend said that because I said it, but I meant it with all my heart. I'm like, no matter what it takes, I am going to go and get that medical degree. Time passed and I forgot about that vision. I applied for university and they all rejected me. And I cried and I cried and I cried and I said, no, this is because I didn't work hard in school. I was following my friends, and I don't know how many young people are here. I just want to say that when you follow, you and your friends have different paths in life. Your friend can be your friend just for your high school season and that's it, and then they leave. You're gonna have to meet new people and have new connections, you understand? So I got rejected and I'm like, okay, since I got rejected, I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I'm gonna start believing in God. God can do it. And I'm like on my knees, Lord, forgive me because I have a low GPA. But your word says that those who believe anything is possible for those who do believe it, right? So when I was done with that, I was like, okay, let's do this. And then the Lord is like, you need to repent. Okay, fine. I decided, okay, I'm going to go through repentance. Slowly but surely, I repented, and the Lord is like, I heard your prayers. Now I'm going to lift you up. Then I'm like, okay, let me apply to Texas Wesleyan University. It's a private school, by the way. And I'm like, this amount, I don't know where it's going to come from, but I'm not able to get like a school that, I don't like big schools. I don't like being a number. I want people to know me where I am, you understand? Because I come from very far. I come from South Africa, and I lived there as a refugee for 20 years. So that is a very rough life. So I'm like, okay, I applied at Texas Wesleyan University and St. George's University. It's a medical school. And then I'm like, let's see. If God says he's going to do it, let's see if this God really exists. Okay, I applied, and I'm waiting. And then Texas Wesleyan. And then in October, I received the dream, and the Lord says, Texas Wesleyan is your school. And I'm like, these are just dreams. Like, probably not. You're doing something, but then you have like a little bit of doubt within you. Okay, fine. And this was in October 2020. And I didn't think that I was ever going to take a gap year from school, right? So I got that. And then in January 2021, Texas Wesleyan University, and I went for my visa interview last year. And when I went for my visa interview, I was still in sin. I was in evil things that I was not supposed to do. And God knew that if I take you to the United States, you will not change people. People will change you rather. So you need to be changed first. Someone here mentioned about you cannot do things for others unless you start from within. If you have the candle lighting within you, you can, I'm going to cut it short. Okay. If you have the candle lighting within you, you can light other people up, right? So I went on my visa interview, I got rejected, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going. Texas Wesleyan University called, and they say, fine, we can admit you online. I'm like, okay, online, let's do this. I did it online, and when I did it online, and I'm like, Mom, we need money to pay. My mom was like, okay, I only have $1,000 to pay, just start there. I started there, and like I went on. I started then I went on, and I was on like credit at school. I'm like, you know what, God, you're gonna have to deal with that credit. I'm going to study. So when I studied, and then in August here, literally 4 days, in 4 days, in August, the Lord revealed to me in a dream, and He says, Bella, go and get your visa at the visa embassy. I went to the visa embassy, applied for the visa, and the guy was like, ma'am, your visa has been approved. I was left with 4 days to come to the United States because the something schedule for my country and the United States is only 1 month. I had 4 days to come here. I came here and I met a girl, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna show you around, but at my church they have a meeting for career day or something. I want you to join. So when I came here and I just heard you guys, and I'm like, no, this is the will of God.
Aw, amen.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
You know, we're trying to go fast. I'm rushing her because, you know, Donna O tried to make this a church service, but it's a career day. And you know you got to put God in it. And so don't be surprised when people start giving testimony now because,
Hey,
but anyway.
it's all
Real
about
quick
God.
question. We got to finish up in 4 minutes.
We go on from Ruth.
Okay, so for my question, going back to what Mark said about how a lot of young people don't really want to go to college, and my teacher talked about how there was a study as if like kindergartners have more imagination and they think they have a more open mind than juniors in high school. And I was saying, can sometimes the school system affect the way your brain works, and how can you not be affected by that?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I want to hear the answer.
Absolutely.
To that. Yeah. Can you give her a round of applause? That's a good one. You want to answer now, or you want to wait till you hear the other one? I'll read you answer now. Let's hear the last one.
I'm gonna pass. I just want to say that I grew up dyslexic, so it took me a while to even teach myself things, and I'm a lot older than a lot of you. Probably older than everybody in here. But my thing is, I was dyslexic, and so was my son. My son is it. I'm not.
They can't hear you.
My son, he has an engineering degree as well, and he was dyslexic. So when you're taught all your life that, you know, things are not, they're kind of abstract compared to everybody else's. The concrete and the things that are direct are not always there. But what happened to me, and I think it happened to him, and I'm talking to a lot of the college kids and college age kids, when you go to college, you know, you have to make it fun and have to make learning fun. But my problem was self-discipline. I could let everybody suck my thumb up, come over here, and I just could not rewire myself where I could just focus here and there.
Okay.
And I finally found myself doing what I should have done all along. I went to school Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I studied on Tuesday and Thursday. And then I partied on Saturdays and Sundays. And not encouraging anybody else to do that, but it's really hard if you're wired a certain way that you need to rewire yourself and get ready for something that's a new adventure, it's scary, and that was what I want. I want that today for my son, even though he's a grad student. He needs to kind of get out of the millennium thing.
We have 2 questions online. We get back to that. Dr. Mckey, do you have something?
I was saying we could just put the 2 questions together very quickly. My twin brother is a medical doctor. He's a psychiatrist and a pediatrician, actually. He's 2 doctors. But so we do a lot of work with people who have any type of learning disability, including dyslexia. But Guaranteed 4.0 is designed to create that structure that anyone would need, and even particularly someone who has difficulty with focusing. And the structure is a 3-step systematic approach to learning. When you do the 3 steps, it follows how your brain naturally learns. So it helps you not only learn, but it cuts your study time in half. All right?
Great.
And can your environment affect your imagination? It's actually not just the school system, but it's our society as a whole. Because you're right, as a child, you imagine, you play, you do all of those things, and it's encouraged, but at some point, people tell you, grow up. Like, this is your current reality. Well, if you ask my husband how old I am, he will tell you that I'm 7 and sometimes 5, because I probably act like I'm 7. And I tell everybody I live in my own little world and I like my world, and this is who I am all day, every day. So I would encourage you to do you, because part of your why, part of your purpose comes from that natural thing that God put in you when you were born.
Great,
Right?
thank you. Good applause. So the two last questions I'm going to address, one to Chris and one to Tyson, and then Donna can summarize. This is from online. We don't know the names. Mark will ask.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, there are 4 actually, but
There's actually 4. There's
okay.
another one.
Chris, this is for you, and then we'll just point it to one of you. This is from online. I'm currently having an LLC, but I also have other talents, gifts that bring in more money. Do I just continue doing those other things on the side, or should I start an actual business LLC for those others that will help propel my other gifts?
I think
The person didn't list what the gifts were.
I think it's a great question. Here's something I learned late in life about money, as well as companies, corporations, as well as LLCs. First and foremost, the best way of making money is while you sleep. Everybody in the sound of my voice probably makes money during the day, and they trade their time for money. Whatever you're doing, you're trading your time for money. Nothing wrong with that, but it has a limiting potential because you only have a certain number of time during the day where you can do that, because you got to sleep a certain time. You probably have a family and other obligations. And so if you're trading your time for money, it's a limiting return. One of the most inspiring people I know who taught me from just following them about money is Berkshire Hathaway, or what's the guy's name? I'm sorry? Warren Buffett, thank you. Yeah, he runs Berkshire Hathaway, is Warren Buffett. He talks about making money while you're asleep, and I never really understood what that meant, other than the fact that now, when I wake up in the morning, I look at my balance sheet, and if it's not up, I'm a little bit depressed, because it means I didn't make some money while I was asleep. This is what you need: multiple streams of income, no matter who you are. Multiple streams of income. So if you're going to work from a 9 to 5 and you're doing the job, nothing wrong with that. But trust me, as soon as that job is over, as soon as they find somebody else who will do that same job for less money, as soon as you decide, I don't want to do this job anymore, guess what happened to your income stream? It stopped. And then what happens? Well, unless you have multiple streams of income, you're kind of in a hurting position. So multiple streams of income just means that I have something that may be my primary job, but then I take the money that I worked for and I allow that money to work for me. You want to be in a position where money works for you versus you're always working for money. Anytime you have enough money such that it provides an income for you, that income is then something that will happen whether you are sleeping, whether you are working, whether you are playing. You always want to be able to go on vacation and come back with more money. And why does that happen? Because you have enough income or other alternate streams of income that actually provided that to you. Now, it sounds great, but the way it happens is by you literally becoming deliberate and planning for it. If today you do not have an investment portfolio of some sort, that's your fault. That's your fault. In other words, it's so easy right now to go to a bank and just tell them, I have $5 every month that I want to start investing. Why do you want to do that? Because if you don't do that, you're going to take that $5, you're going to spend it on coffee. You're going to take that $5, you're going to spend it on candy. You're going to take that $5 and spend it on Chick-fil-A. Guess what happens after you've spent it? It's gone. It doesn't make money for you if you spent it on something that was either not necessary or just like plain out fun. You have to put yourself in a position where you have multiple streams of income all the time. Multiple streams of income means you make money while you're sleeping, period.
Thanks, Chris. Tyson?
One of the key things he mentioned was some people he was hanging around with. That's how he got exposed to that. You're not going to get that information from somebody at the liquor store.
Well,
You got to hang around somebody else that's doing that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, you're doing that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The other question? Do you want to go for it?
You took it from me, I think.
No.
It's about the same thing. Somebody wrote online, different person, how do I know which give talent to focus on when it comes to business? That's just a random question online. But
I think another one that we got here, Albertus, I'll let you answer that later. Is that true that there's funding for African American women when they start up a business?
yes,
That's true.
yes.
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
That's hey, ladies, y'all heard that, right? I can be a business partner. Now, the last one that we take, and then I'll take one more question from the audience before we finish up. The last one is that a bad thing to have too many businesses, and how many businesses is too many? Yeah, that's I heard
Chris,
that, so you
Tyson.
say when you can watch them.
Okay, let me flip that question. Let me see the number of hands that go up in the room when I ask this question. Does anybody here have too much money? Does anybody here just say, no more, stop, I've got enough money, take it back, right? That's the exact same response to too many businesses, because here's the deal. You will only have the number of businesses that you have capacity to run and operate successfully. Otherwise, they're going to go out of business. Like, you're never going to overextend yourself successfully because you're not going to make money from it. But is there a limit to it? No. It's just like there's no limit to your capacity to potentially create income for yourself as long as you're doing it, in a legitimate way, so not illegally, obviously, but also in a way such that hopefully at some point some of those businesses can kind of run themselves. And again, having revenue streams does not mean that you always have a business. Sometimes a revenue stream is your investment in someone else's business. I've got 5 businesses right now that I invested in. I don't even know what the heck is going on. But at the end of the day, once one of those businesses gets sold, my investment goes through the roof. So yeah, I got a whole bunch of businesses, but at the end of the day, you don't even have capacity to give someone else money for a business if you don't have money yourself, right? So you have to put yourself in a position where you are able to assist, help, and nurture other people as well. Is there a limit to the businesses? Nope. Why not? Because your capacity to do them will be the only limiting factor. And again, it's very specific. It's very individual. All I'm saying today is don't have one. If you have a job right now, and that is your primary and only set of income, you are at risk. You're at risk, which means that at some point, you are going to be in a position where you are making sacrifices for the business because you are being held hostage to that income, whatever it is. What is freedom? Freedom means I wake up every day and I decide what I'm going to do, where I'm going to spend my time, period. Most of us do not ever live in freedom. We live in fear. Please don't fire me. Please don't demote me. Please don't stop paying me. And then you start sacrificing who you are. Why? Because you can't afford to lose that income. You can't afford to lose that revenue. You can't afford to not be able to pay the bills. You become enslaved to that single source of income. And that's why a lot of us show up and just, become something that we're not. Why? Because I am addicted and enslaved to that single source of income, which has sustained me and my family for a certain period of time. That's what happens.
That was good.
You got something to
Yeah, the only thing I would mention was more of a story. Once I was living in California, I had a friend, he was a roommate. He was trying to get into the entertainment industry. And he got connected to a guy, Norman Whitfield. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. He was actually a songwriter. He wrote songs for Motown. Years ago, I think he wrote some songs for Temptations, that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, they asked me for a ride. Needed a ride to pick his car up from the shop. And picking this guy up, and this guy's got so much doggone money, he doesn't know what to do with it. He spends $6,000 a week at the racetrack. But he was needed a ride to the shop, and just talking to him, and this is a story about too many businesses. This guy had so much money in so many different places, he didn't even know things he owned. He had no idea. He had things that he was making money, and he had no clue. He just know the checks were coming in. But a lot of times he had no idea where his money was going. He had somebody else managing that, but he had so many different businesses that he was running. As a matter of fact, the shop we were taking him to was a shop he owned. So, too many businesses? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me one more.
We're going to.
I know it's time to eat. We take those two questions later. Please write them down. We make sure that we take them later. We a little bit running out of time here. We need a break, right?
Yeah.
To catch some water, to catch some fresh air.
Yeah.
I can go to 6 p.m.
When we come back, in addition to the question from Chantel and Joel, one more question that I'd like to ask for those who are in corporate America, of course, maybe after Dr. Mckey's presentation, is you guys have reached some of the highest level, the C-suite of corporate America, where I could count the company we all worked at. I could count with one hand and have some fingers left. How many of you were up there? What are the things you can tell to the people who are here about your disciplines, the things that you did on an everyday basis to get to where you got? And with that, we conclude this first session. Pastor Verdi is going to pray for the food. We let our panelists go first, and then the rest of us, we go around the table. Take also this opportunity to network, meet some people, change numbers. If you need my number, reach out. I'll give it to you. And also, if you would like this program to be held at your local church, we can work on that and make it happen. That's a verse.
All right. We're going to pray for the food. And just so you know, as we go to eat, get your food, come back to the table, and then we'll continue the questioning just because we're running out of time. We started late, so get your food, come right back to the table. We'll let you go here as on time, hopefully maybe 15 minutes late, but we'll plan to finish on time. Come back to the table, and then we'll finish the food and then ask the question while we eat, so that right after we eat, we'll get the presentation and then final questions and then go home. So let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for what you provided, pizzas. We pray that you will sanctify it and bless it. And we want to remember those that don't have to eat right now, that are hungry and been hungry. Lord, that you will provide for them miraculously through one way or the other. We pray that as we eat it, may it strengthen us and nourish our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I guess we'll go grab the pizza and the drink, and then we'll just go by table, and let's make it quick. Come back to your table. No going outside the building. We're trying to finish and get out of here so we can let you go. God bless you. Thank you.
Good.